Hi, my name is Charles, and I just wanted to give a simple illustration based on an online application form. Now, before I go further, I just want to clarify some things. When we talk about an online application form, that means we're talking about an estimated language called HTML, which can be, if we were to expand it, we say it's a hypertext markup language. So these an hypertext markup language can be found in a lot of there are a lot of GUIs that have been created that possess these languages. And for example, right here I'm just going to open Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is a GUI that has got a lot of languages inside it, namely every language that a computer can use to identify a program. So just to start to begin, to define a program is a set of instructions. A program is a set of instructions, and so when we talk about programming, we're basically talking about an illustration of ideas visually. So when we are programming, which means we are converting our ideas into a raw material that comes on a screen, it is displayed. So everything that we see as a program on a computer started as an idea, and somebody had to program it. And so the first thing that a person has to consider when it comes to an online application form in web designing, we first look at the opening and the closing. So this is the very important key things that one must have in their mind. You open and then you close, because when you open, your application or your website will not come out as it should be. So you have to open and close. So firstly, before you do anything, you declare the type of document that you are creating. So as I declared here, it's a doc type. The document type is an HTML, which is a hyper markup text language. And then from there, you open HTML. When you open HTML, that means you have given the computer the space to an audience where you can code in all your programs concerning an HTML program. And so from there, what we start with first, we start with the head, because the head is what gives us everything, the title and some of the headers that we use. So when we open the head, we are able to declare a title, and then the title is basically the address that you use to find it's either a website or something. So if your website is www.oakuniversity.net, that is the title of the website. So it is an identifier. So when you write www.oakuniversity.com, it identifies the kind of language, the kind of application that you want, namely because you coded it as a title. And then from there, I had a first header, which is when we code it as H1. This is my first header. And then when placing a header on the center, you have to declare a variable called center, and then you open it as well. And then when you want to make it bold, you declare a variable called strong, and then you open it as well. So after that, you can write your title, and then when it comes to closing again, you can write your title, and then when it comes to closing again, you close the word strong, and then you close center, and then you can close the header. So that means when you close H1 by adding a /, it means that you have closed that pattern of code. And so going next, I have P. P stands for paragraph. And so you open P, and then you write what you want to be in your paragraph, depending on the kind of application you are creating. And so after you finish writing that paragraph on P, you can close P as well. That means you have as well closed the string of what you are writing. And so from there, you can close the head depending on how satisfied you are with what is in your head. And then you can start now the body. The body is the main aspiration of your website, because it consists of everything that you want. It consists of every data that a person wants, what you want your viewers to see, and the submission and everything. So beginning with my body, I have a name because we're talking about an application form. So an application form consists of details, credentials concerning a certain person. You want to submit them to a certain company, institute, or industry of that sort. So beginning, I started with my name. When you code your name, it will just come as name, basically, but you have to give it a variable, something that will give it value. So in my case, I give it the value of an input, because if I give it the value of an input, that means I have accessed the name, and then I have given it a message a text box which will enable me to write my name inside it. And from there, BR means you are creating space down so that your text should not be, yeah. Yes. So I've included two BRs, meaning I'm creating two spaces down, which will give me the ability not to shrink my spaces. Yes, and then we have surname here. It's inclusively on a person's credentials, and the value is also input. And then I've also added two BRs here, and then I have nationality, which also are claims of where I am from, and then it also has got the value of an input, and I've added two BRs, and then I have sex. Sex actually talks about the gender of a person. Are you a male or are you a female? And in this case, in order for you to select sex, there are two ways you can do it. It's either you do it using a checkbox, but in my case, I have used it using a Dropbox. So in this Dropbox, what you do before you put things in a Dropbox, you first define what you want to be in a Dropbox. So when you open and then you write select, that means you have given access to what you have written so that it can be in a Dropbox. And so from there, you write the options that you want to be in the Dropbox, and then when you write the options, the code is you open option, and then you write one of the options that you want to include in the Dropbox, and then you close the option. That means that option has been included in the Dropbox. And then from there, I have the date of birth, which inclusively as well has got the selecting input as a value, which also gives it the same thing as I have said recently, that you select certain options in the Dropbox. So you give the Dropbox the options that you want to experience, and then from there I have contacts. So from the contact, I've also used the code of a Dropbox, which will give people a country code based on where they are. So when you select the country code, and then you can fill in the remainings of your contact. And then I close as well. And then from there, I also got an email. An email, I've given it the value of an input, so that you can input your email in the text box. And then and going down third to the last, I've got the intake. It also has got a Dropbox, and then I also got a mode of study, which makes one select the kind of study that they want. It's either is it distance or is it full time, and so you can select that. It is part of the options in the Dropbox, as I have explained. And then from here now, I've got a button. The first button says select file. So the way you create a button is that you open and then you input button, you close, and then you write what you want to be written on your button, and then you close your button. And then so the select file button enables you to access the document that you want to send with that online application form to wherever it is directed to wherever it is going. And so from there, the last button and the last option is the submit button. And so this submit button enables you to send your information without fail. Thank you.
I have a question. Can it be